Hi everybody, welcome to J&S Farms. Okay, so now we've got our rabbits butchered and it is time for processing. As you can see, I got this set up here on my counter. We are going to be making jerky, and then the extra pieces that really don't make good jerky, I'm going to throw them in a stock pot, make some stock, and I'm also going to be using any little tidbits of meat that just shouldn't be thrown away. I'm going to use those, and I'll probably freeze them or can them. Imagine I'll can them. But today we're going to be using this seasoning to make our jerky. It is hickory, and this bag will do 5 pounds of meat. As you can see, I've already gotten started, and then I remembered, oh yeah, I probably ought to video this. So we also have a scale and a couple little things to use there, and then of course our Havalon and a big kitchen knife. You'll want a cutting board and a baggie for we put the 4/4 in there because they fry up really nicely and I don't want to use them as stock, so that's what we use those for. And then this guy's waiting to be processed. I'll show you how I process him here in just a minute. And then we have our, what I call, stew meat bowl. This is the stuff I will boil down, make good stock out of, and also get the tidbits of meat that will be left. I also have a little bowl of just the odds and ends that are not great to eat, and the dogs will get those. So here we go. Let me see if I can get that set up. Okay. Alright, so we have our rabbit here. Okay. And the first thing you're going to want to do, I'm actually going to show you how I butcher the rabbit for, butcher him for when we just fry it and eat it. And then I'll show you how I take it apart to cut it into jerky strips. Okay, first you want to take the foreleg off. You kind of bend that up there, and there's going to be a muscle here. And you're going to want to cut that. Okay, you just cut it right there by the base of the rib cage. Okay, I don't know if you could see that, but anyway, and then you just kind of cut underneath there, and see the foreleg is not attached to anything. That's just the shoulder blade there. Then you'll come around the front and cut around behind the shoulder blade, and there you go. We've got some nice shoulder, and we're going to throw those in there. We'll fry those up sometime, and those will be a good dinner. And you'll do the same. Put that muscle there, and it'll kind of pop up there for you, and then you just go behind and cut it off. There you go. Okay. Now you're going to want to take your rib cage off, and that's pretty easy. I just thumb under here. You find kind of where the rib cage meets the loin, kind of right. You'll see kind of how that V's there, and you'll stick your thumb there, and you'll just bend it backwards. Okay, there it is. You'll have a hole there, and that's when your big knife comes in. So you'll put your knife in this hole here. Okay, and then it just takes a little bit of brute force, and make sure your fingers are out of the way, because you do not want to get your fingers anywhere near that. Okay, so this is going to go in the stew pot. Throw that in there. Now you just have your thighs and your back strap left, or your loins, whichever you want to call it. Now there's a little hole in there that I just stick my finger under there, and as you can see where the loin kind of meets the back strap here, you put your thumb there and then rotate it backwards. Okay, and of course this one's not going to cooperate with me, but anyway, you'll feel that's where it kind of separated there. Now this is the tougher part here, but you'll take your knife and you'll just get it kind of where you separated the backbone, and again, make sure your fingers are out of the way, because that can happen. So You want to make sure your fingers are out of the way. And this is the tougher part because that part is a little harder to cut through than the front part. And when the knife turns sideways, that's a good reason why you want your fingers out of the way. Okay, so now you have your back strap, and you have your back legs. Okay, what I do is I grab a hold of that, and there's a joint right there. You just want to pop it out of the socket. Okay. Well, it didn't pop out. It just kind of broke. Oh well. Since we're making jerky, it's really not going to make much of a difference. But there's a joint right there, and you just pop it and pop it out. Okay. So there's that. You're going to see this is your pelvic area, and this is just meat now that's just kind of dangling there. So you take your big knife in between, just kind of separate it, and there is your leg. And do the same on this side. Watch your fingers. And then this piece will go into your stew pot. This is the tail part, and that's kind of where the back meets the hip, because see, there's a hip joint there. Alright, now I'm going to show you how I work these up into jerky. And these two pieces here, the thigh and the back strap. I'm going to put that out of the way for just a second. Okay, you're done with your big knife for now. Alright, now you have your back strap, and the spine is right here. So you're going to want to take your knife and start cutting along the edge. And there'll be a membrane there that you're going to peel off here later. Okay, so you got to find the edge, and then just cut along it. Okay, and you'll peel it back as you go here. You just kind of cut along that backbone, and you're going to find the short ribs as you go, kind of as you go. I'll show those to you here in just a second. Okay, see, there's some of the short ribs kind of showing up, and you know then you're kind of getting to the end of your loin. You just want to cut nice even strokes along that, and it's going to make it a nice even cut for your loin. Okay. There you go. Okay. Let's see, when I cut the rib, I cut it a little too far forward, and that's one of the ribs. And then at that last rib, it kind of goes into the short ribs there. Okay, so now you have your loin, and this is going to be your membrane right here. And you just kind of peel that off up to the front there. Okay, and then you'll want to cut that off. I give this to the dogs because I don't want this in my stew meat. So that's a dog piece. There's one of your back loins. And you'll do the same on the other side. Now you be careful because it gets slippery. This rabbit meat is very slippery, so you got to really watch your fingers and kind of watch what you're doing, because you do not want to cut yourself. It's not fun, trust me. I've done it so many times. Okay. Alright. Nice even strokes as you go along there. Okay. And I didn't get far enough back when I snapped that, so there's a couple little ribs that are stuck there. Okay, that goes into the stew pot. And this is really kind of a mess, but anyway, there's your membrane. Okay, you're going to take that off. And it just peels, should peel right off for you. So you get it to the top, and then you will cut that up. And that's dog meat. I don't put that in my stew meat. Okay, now, hind leg. These are pretty easy. There's two muscles you're going to cut, and as you can see, there's kind of an indentation there. There's muscle up here and a muscle down here, and you're going to want to cut right along the bone until you get to the knee, and that's going to really give you two separate pieces of meat. Now there's a membrane on this one. I'm going to cut it off just because I'm not a big fan of membranes. And it's easier when you get it into pieces. So yeah, I don't like that on my meat, but you can certainly leave it on if you want. Okay, here's the top of the leg here. You're gonna take your knife and cut along right here. So I just stand my leg up kind of like that. And, don't do that. Cut straight down till you find the leg bone. Alright, now I just put my knife in there and I hold with this finger here. And I take my knife and I run it along that leg bone. I just kind of fillet it along the leg bone there. Okay, now when I get to the knee, I'm going to start cutting upwards. And just be careful not to pull too hard. You don't want to cut yourself. Okay, now there's that piece right there. Now this piece, you'll flip it over and you're going to take it and do the same. This one's got a little bit of a bone kind of right there. You got to get around it. So you'll take it and you'll cut straight down to the leg bone. Okay, I bit the leg bone. And I didn't cut all the way through here, so I got to cut that some more. Okay. And you know, the leg bone is right in there. So again, I lay my knife in there and I hold on to the bone and just start cutting towards the knee, kind of filleting along the bone there. And when I get to the knee again, I'm going to just start cutting up. Now you need to make sure you know where your fingers are at this point. You don't want to cut the tips of your fingers off. Okay, and there's that. I see how we just kind of filleted along the bone. Now this is going to go into the stew pot. This bottom part of this leg, cutting that up for jerky, there's a lot of tendons in there, and it's just once you get in there, it's really not worth cutting up all that, and that'd be really good stew meat for later on. So I'm just going to leave the bottom part. That will be used for stew meat. Okay, now that last bottom part that you just cut off, you're going to peel it open. It's really easy, and there's going to be a vein in there. So you'll just take that vein out, and I just throw it in the dog pile. I'm not a big fan of veins in my meat. Okay, and this is a really thinner piece of meat, so you can just cut your strips out of it as you want. So I just cut my strips kind of as evenly as I can. I don't really worry about measuring them, or, you know, I just try to get them as evenly cut as I can. Because this piece of meat's going to be about the same thickness as you go along. Okay. Just make sure you separate them when you put them in there. Alright. Now, that one a little smaller. Okay, there's that piece. Now here's the top part of that leg, and there's two pieces, two muscles up here. You're gonna see them separate right there. So what I do is I go ahead and I separate them, so I know where I'm working at there, and I just cut them apart. Okay, and then that piece I usually just cut in half. This is for jerky, so, and I throw that in the jerky bucket. And then you have this nice little piece here, and I cut it in half as well, and throw it in. Alright, now, the back straps, you'll just take these and you'll just strip them up. This is going to be your really pretty pieces of jerky. And these usually, on these size rabbits, you can get about 3 strips per loin. And that's the sizes I like them. Now they may look a little bit thicker than what I did over there, but they're about the same thickness. They're just a little longer. Do this guy the same here. Now these will marinate for 24 hours in the refrigerator once I get them in their marinade here. And then I will throw them in the dehydrator until they are nice and dry and ready to go. So that is how I get my rabbits worked up for not only for the jerky, but I also, that's kind of how I work them up. But if I were to work them up to eat, I would just leave them in these pieces and freeze them like this. I would have this piece, 2 of these and 2 of these, and the back strap, and I'd put all that in one, and I would vacuum seal it. So that's all I would do differently for just the regular rabbit. So thanks for watching. Hope you learned something. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. And you guys have a good day. And I will show you the jerky when it's done. And I'll let you know how it tastes. Take care. Bye.